Hello guys, and welcome back in this new video in our C++ series where we're going to discuss about for loop. The for loop structure can looks on the two representation. The first one is that one for initialization semicolon condition semicolon increment, and we close the parenthesis, and after that we define our statement and semicolon at the end. Okay, so this one is the one that we're going to use when we have only one line of statement. Okay, when we have more than one line of statement, we should use the block that we talk about, the block statement that we talked about in the previous video with if statement. So when we use the block, when we have more than one statement, one line of statement, we always have to use a block. Okay, if not, we should have a compile error. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit and let's practice it. Okay, in this first example, okay, for instance here, I have my for loop that I've defined here for I equal 1 semicolon I less or equal to 5 semicolon increment I. Okay, for this case, this is the first case where I've declared my I variable outside and I've initialized it to 0. Okay, so when I run cout I NL, I'm going to have the value of I display on my screen until 5. Okay, so I'm going to have it display the 1 from 1 to 5. Okay, let's compile this quickly and execute it. Okay, so the shortcut to compile is Ctrl F7 and Ctrl F5 to boot and execute. You see, it's showing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And because we have the NL here, after each displaying, we move on the next line. Okay, so that's a little bit how we can write our for loop. Okay, to display a list of number with some limit like the value of the maximum value of I or so on and so on. Okay, but it's not the only way that we can use to declare our for loop. Okay, let me show you the next option right there. Okay, I'm commenting that one first and I'm moving on the next one. Okay, all right, this is the next for loop that I've written. Okay, for this one, I didn't initialize my integer outside of my condition anymore, no, but I have initialized it directly inside my condition. Okay, so you can see that my expression started with integer I and I have initialized it to 1. Okay, and I have declared the same thing here, I less or equal than 5 increment I. I should have the same output that we have before with that one. Okay, let's do it quickly and see. I'm compiling it and build and execute. You see, we have the same output. So you don't have always to declare your variable outside of your condition. You can do it directly like that. Okay, so it's just to let you know that. Okay, so I'm going to move on the next one now. Okay, but before that, if I'm still here, before to continue, if I'm still here, okay, since I've declared my variable inside here, if I'm trying to provide another value to my variable, I'm going to have an error. I is only visible in the loop. Okay, so it's a complex thing that you have to understand about for loop. Okay, let me take now the next example. Okay, so for this one, I've initialized my integer I inside my condition as well, inside my loop as well. but you can see that it's not the same method that I've used. This is how I've initialized it here, but here I've used the equal operation, the equal arithmetic option to do it. Okay, but I also going to have the same output. Okay, so let's do that quickly. Compile it and execute it to let you see how the thing looks. Okay, so you see we have the same output. So it's pretty much the same. I just want to make sure that I'm showing you every option that you're going to have with your for loop, guys. Okay, that's why I'm taking every option. Okay, now for this option now, for this for loop now that you're going to see, the purpose is to display all the even all the even between 1 to 10. Okay, so for that I have to use the some kind of nested if on my for loop. Okay, so I have to use after my for loop some if statement in order to sort all the number that are even. Okay, and for that I have to use the modulo option, I modulo 2. For if I modulo 2 is equivalent to 0, see out I. So only the even are going to display here. And also you can see that you are using curly braces now. You remember when I was explaining on the top, when you have more than one line in your first for loop, you always have to use the block statement. Okay, that's why we are using the block statement here. So I'm going to compile this and execute it quickly. Okay, and you're going to see what we get. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So only the even one, only the even number. So that's a little bit it about this for loop. If you have some question, drop your question in the comment and I will be happy to help. Okay. Now, one of the most useful function of for loop is to display the content element of a array or of a vector. Okay, we used to use it a lot to display the element of a arrays or a vector. We talk about array and vector in our previous video. Let's watch this if you didn't watch them, and I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy them as well. Okay, so I have my array here defined with 3 elements. Okay, so the size of my array is 3. Okay, and I would like to run a for loop that's going to display each element of my all the element of my array. Okay, for that I'm going to make for integer I. Okay, initialize to 0 with I less than 3. Okay, because I have 3, my size is 3. Okay, so I have 0, 1, 2 as index. Increment I, and each time that you're going to increment I, see out score of the index I and NL. So this one going to display all the element of my array. Okay, let's compile this with Control 7 and execute it with Control F5. Control F7 to compile and Control F5 to execute. You see, we have our different elements that are displaying. Okay, so that's a little bit it. Now let's talk about another concept. Okay, let's talk about another concept now that we call comma operators with for loop. Okay, what is comma operator for loop? Comma operator is the function with for loop that gonna allow us to use or to setting up two value and just work with them. Okay, we can use this to create some table of multiplication, for example. This is the most used case for this kind of for loop, okay? For example, here, for this common operator for loop that I've written, you can see that I have for integer I initialized to I have a comma here, which is my common operator. G initialized to 5, okay? Semicolon. I less or equal to 5, increment I and increment I, comma, increment J, okay? And I have my curly braces because I have more than one line, okay? Oh no, I don't have more than one line. I could run it without a curly braces, but it's fine. So after declaring my for loop condition here, I just open my curly braces and I drop what I want my compiler to run and execute, okay? See out I multiply G column, and I'm going to run the operation I by G, okay? And NL, okay? So when I see that when I'm going to execute it, I'm going to have exactly what I've declared here, okay? So they're both going to increment based of the starting point, okay? So let me uncomment this and execute it quickly, okay? So I'm going to save it first using Control S and Control F7 to compile, then Control F5 to boot and execute. And you see, so that one's the I started at 1 and the G started at 5. And you see, and I have my final result on the right side here. So it's just awesome, okay? So finally, I'm gonna talk about a last concept here, okay? The last concept that we're gonna discuss here is the endless loop, okay? The endless loop is a loop that's gonna run forever, okay? So normally we can implement that kind of loop for for do while loop, but most of the time it's just we can fall in that kind of loop if we did some error, okay? So if I executing for space, semicolon space, see out endless loop NL, you're gonna see that we're gonna have endless loop that's gonna display on our screen forever until I stop it using Control C. Let's do that, okay? Let's do that quickly and you're gonna see what I'm talking about, okay? So let's do that quickly. I save it, now I compile it, Control 7 and Control F5, Control F7 and Control F5 to boot and execute. You see, I have an endless loop. It just continue until I make Control C to stop the process. Okay, so that's a little bit it about for loop in this C++ series. So keep in your mind the basic concept that you have declared on the beginning here. And if you have learned something new, give a thumbs up to this video and please like and subscribe if you are not yet. We really appreciate your time to watch our video and see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.